All right, let's talk about acing a money mindset. I should quiz you guys on the ACE model. Does anybody remember? Okay, awareness, clarity, and
Clarity.
embodiment. Okay, we're going to talk about that today, so don't worry, but we're going to talk about it in regards to money. And I love this because who doesn't love to talk about money? And so it's just been on my mind as I'm working on testing different laws and seeing what I can call in. So I wanted to share what I've learned so far. And this is going to be very interactive. There is going to be a lot of opportunities for you guys to put pen to paper. So just grab something handy right now, whether it's a notebook, pencil, pen, and because we'll be doing some activities along the way. So you guys have what you need? Okay. Okay, so awareness. Reminder, awareness is being aware of your thoughts, being aware of your reactions, right? So our reactions to life reveal our assumptions. So where in your life do you have reactions and you're like, oh, guess I feel a certain way. I didn't realize it, right? Or something. So, and remember that, the awareness, it's just, I'd say it gets a little bit messy before it gets reorganized because you're shining a light now on all of this. Whereas before you were just kind of sleepwalking and going through life and not paying much attention. Life was just happening. And now you're like, no, I'm waking up to all of this and I'm going to be intentional about what happens. So you become, very aware of your thoughts, very aware of your reactions. And now specifically in regards to money, I want to talk about what are your money beliefs? So what do you think about money? And then I also wrote here, be aware of your sponsoring thought. So what I mean by that is it is one thing to say, I want money. I want, and we'll just talk about money specifically in this class, right? But it could be health. I want wealth. I want love. I want happiness, whatever that looks like. But the sponsoring thought, the thought underneath the thought is actually, but it won't happen to me, or I'm not worthy of it, or it never happens to me. It happens to everybody else, right? So you have to be really, it's one thing to say something. This is why people might say affirmations don't work, because it's one thing to affirm, affirm, affirm. But if there's a thought underneath that affirmation that's like, yeah, but it's actually never going to happen, that's what's manifesting. So the easiest thing to do is look around your life right now and say, okay, what are my results? Those don't lie. Money is, what I love about money is it's an easy measuring stick. It's harder to measure happiness, right? It's harder to measure, health is also an easy one if you're just looking strictly at numbers on a scale, but there's a lot more that goes into health. But when you think about money, it's like, what are my results telling you? It's a really easy measuring stick. Are they going up or are they going down, right? What's happening? So just like love's an easy or a harder one to measure, right? It's very subjective. But when it comes to money, we're going to start thinking, we're going to do an activity next about what are my money beliefs. So I want you to think about, it's not only what am I aware of, but then what's that thought underneath the thought? And that's where, as you become aware, you start to say, oh, I had a reaction to that. There's something going on there. And then you have to do a little bit of digging in yourself to figure out, what do I actually believe? It's one thing for me to say, I want this, I desire this. And it's another thing to say, okay, well, my results don't reflect that. So what do I actually believe, right? Okay. So our first activity, and I will, so I want you guys to write down, take a few moments to write down, what are my current money beliefs? So what do I currently believe about money? And you're just going to jot it down. Is money easy to make? Is money hard to make? Money, I never have enough. I have too much. Everybody else has it. People that have it, money is evil. Whatever those are, take some time and dig into, what do you actually believe about money? Okay. And then give me a thumbs up when you guys are done. I'm going to pause the recording. Kate, you wrote down your current money beliefs. I'm not going to ask you to share those, of course, but did anything come up? Did you, and just a yes or no is sufficient, but as in doing this work, did something catch you like, oh, I didn't realize I thought that? Or were you pretty aware? Okay.
No, do you want us to talk
Sure.
now? Okay. I think the bottom line for mine is money equals security.
Mm.
And so any life adventures or just having stability in your life or shelter, food, and so it's a necessity to provide the necessities that we need and the luxuries that we desire. And I came down to need versus want. And I think about that a lot with money.
Yeah. What do you need versus what you want? And then if you don't have it, then, that equals not being secure, right? Unsafe,
Mhm.
uncomfortable, right?
I agree with that, Mandy. The first three that I wrote were mostly negative, and but not on but not when it comes to, but I kind of did a reframe in my mind, like, yeah, I might it's all about want versus need, right? That really resonates with me that you just said that and the security piece. Like I have enough to be secure and to be comfortable, but then it's the part where it feels like money can create opportunities that maybe you don't always have if you don't have the money. So, but are those opportunities for fun, or are they opportunities that are things that you have to live? It's kind of that is, if that makes any sense, but kind of that balance.
Right. I love the word prosperity. So prosperity is what you feel when money is spent. So when you feel prosperous, I love it. Whether you've spent it on a luxury for yourself or whether you've, given it to somebody else. I mean, that is what, I believe that we're searching for, right? Is that prosperity feeling. So thank you guys for taking a few moments to do that. Now I want you to take back your pen and paper, and I'll pause it here again just for a couple minutes. And I want you to think about, okay, now I know what I believe, right? What do I want to believe? What do I want to believe about money? So maybe just jot down a couple of, if any and all things were possible, what do I want to believe? Okay. So I love this too, because what if, any and all things were possible? What do I want to believe? What is the best belief to have? So now we're going to talk about some money rules here. Okay, these are things that I've learned through, all of my work in this material, and much different than how I've previously thought about money. So ask yourself, what is the best belief to have around money? And you want to avoid the shame and the guilt feeling. So when you think about the vibrational scale, shame and guilt is the lowest vibration that any one of us can have. So that does not attract, that repels, right? That guilt and that shame feeling. So if we feel guilt or shame around money, then we are absolutely repelling money. Okay. And so that's guilt over I spent too much, or, guilt or shame over I've spent too much, I've overindulged, I don't have enough, I never have enough, I'm in debt, right? And then I love the idea of, just what's the best belief to have? So what if I believe that making money was easy? What if I believe that I always have more than I need and I'm able to give freely, right? So play with this. It's not something that we're just going to make up our mind and decide today, but this is absolutely something that I've been working on. We all have money paradigms, and that's evident by what we see around us, right? So if you've consistently been making the same amount of money year after year, maybe you get, your raise, a little bump here and there and there. You have a money upper limit, a set limit. So now what is a better belief to have so that you can push past that? Observe, let's just pretend that says observe abundance all around and then give thanks for it. So there is abundance everywhere we look. And I'm not just talking about money, but I'm talking about the blades of grass, the leaves on the tree, cars on the road, the houses, the shopping, whatever it is, there are, the clouds in the sky, the air that we breathe, there is an abundance of wildlife and nature and friends and family and love and, money circulating all around us. Look for it on a daily basis and give thanks for it. So when you can start observing abundance elsewhere, then you're going to call that to you. You're in that abundance, vibration, abundance mentality. So look for it, give thanks, and then call it in. Be okay with flux. So when you are at your end result, your wealthiest version of yourself, there is going to be fluctuations. And what I mean by that is your bank account is going to go up and it's going to go down. It's going to go up and you're going to spend it. You have to spend it. You have to circulate. You have to put it back in the economy in order to call it back into you. When you sit on money, you're telling the universe, I'm scared I'm not going to get any more. I'm hoarding it, right? And that repels. Then you're not in gratitude, you're not circulating it. So be okay when your bank account goes up and down, knowing that it's going to, once it goes down, it's going to fill right back up. I know I've shared with you guys on previous calls where I've experienced this. I have spent what felt like a little bit of a stretch, and then almost immediately that money came back to me in ways that I wasn't expecting, maybe not all at once, but in a couple different means, and filled right back up. Then I love this. If you can't purchase something today, because let's say you do not have the means to do it, you don't say, I can't afford it, it's too expensive. No, what you say is, oh my gosh, I love that. I'm going to add that to my list. It's going to be the next thing that I purchase, right? So you don't talk about it being unaffordable, unattainable, out of reach. You just say, I can't wait. That's the next thing. Oh, I'm adding that to my list. Oh, so I do that now when there's something I desire, like, oh, yep, I'm taking that trip to Greece. Awesome. That's first on my list, right? So you're not talking about it negatively. You're saying, I can't wait for it. You're in eager anticipation. Money comes where there's a demand. So once you put out a demand for money, then money has to then come back. So I love the saying, nature abhors a vacuum. So where there is space, it does not like the emptiness. It has to fill back up. So when you empty something, it's going to draw the money. Let's say you spend it, then there's a demand and you're going to find a way to make that money. And it goes like exactly what I was saying. I spent something and that money came back to me. I wasn't looking around, where am I going to get it? How am I going to get it? It's like, no, there was a demand and the money came right back. You need to treat money with love. So don't talk negatively to it. I never have enough. When you get, even when you get a bill, oh, I'm so grateful that I get to pay this bill. Even if it feels uncomfortable, just start doing these things, even if they feel weird and out of sync for your norm. Start to do this. This is how we start to create new patterns and new habits, especially around money. I wrote the word lottery winners here because the majority of lottery winners lose all of their money within 1, 2, 3 years because they don't have that wealth mindset. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about creating wealth, creating generational wealth, not just winning a lump sum. If you were to win a lump sum of money and don't have a strong money mindset, then you are going to blow it just as quickly as it came in. But what I want to talk about is, how can we actually create wealth on an ongoing basis and learn to love and appreciate money and respect money and know that it is just an exchange and a form of energy and it's always going to circulate and fill back up. Well, here you go. Circulation, exchange of money is good, never bad. I also love this idea that no matter what you circulate instead of spend, right? We're circulating the money and exchanging that money. It's always good, whether it is groceries or shopping or a trip or maybe it's surgery on yourself, whatever that is, it's never bad. Even gambling, right? You're circulating money, you're helping the economy. So really rethink the way that you spend money. It's not good or bad. It's not bad, right? It's all positive. We're circulating. And then never talk of lack or envy. So that's going to repel it. So if you say, I never have enough, I can't ever pay my bills, that's too expensive, then again, what you're telling the universe is that's too expensive. And the universe says, yes, here's more of that's too expensive. When you judge other people or when you judge other people for having money or what they spend their money on, you're telling the universe, no, thank you. I don't want that. So instead, what I like to do is when I see somebody that has something that and this has been big growth for me, because in the past I would look at something and get jealous. I want that. How do they have it? It's very normal and natural. And I have worked on it. So now when I see it, I say, yes, thank you. That's for me too. It's showing me, if I can see it in somebody else, it's meant for me too. I can have that. So now I'm like, yes, thank you for showing me what's possible. I'd like that. I'm going to add that to my list. I desire that, right? As opposed to, can't believe they just spent their money on that. What a waste. No, do not judge, do not badmouth. And so even if that's just the one thing you take away is think about where in your life you might get jealous or envious, and then how can you change that? That was a big growth for me, a big awareness. Does any of these money rules resonate? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's so good. And I'll tell you, when my envy was what started me on this journey 3-4 years ago. And thank the goodness that it did. It all has worked out. But that was such a big, now when I look at it, I'm just like, oh my gosh, what growth. Okay, so clarity, the C on our ACE model. So I want to get clear on our desires. So I want you to think about, if any and all things were possible at your end result, what amount of money do you desire? And then I want you to get clear on actually allocating those resources. So what we're going to do is I want you to grab your pen and paper, and I want you to write down your list. So on the left side, it's what the item is. Maybe it's, your house, your gym membership, your groceries, your personal trainer, your cleaner, your fresh flowers, your personal chef, whatever that looks like. Travel. I want you to list it all out, and then I want you to the best of your ability, assign a numerical value per, let's just say, per month. Okay. You can do it per month, or you can do it annually. And then I want you to tally that up. And that is what you're telling the universe. Okay, at my end result, I desire $1 million a year, right? To live this life that I just detailed. But until we do this, if you remember back into the beginning, until we get clear, we're not even sending out any signals to the universe other than I want more, and the energy of want is not going to manifest. Okay. If you think about the ladder of belief, there's needing, there's wanting, there's knowing, or there's believing, and then there's knowing. So wanting is still not you might do some manifestations like once or twice, a couple little things, but it's not until you go up the ladder. So what we need to do for heaven's first law is order of the mind. So we are now creating order. We're saying to the universe, this is what I desire. This is my list. I actually have written in my journal this, and it is so fun. So let's take a few moments and do it. And then if we, we'll say, let's give, it might not be enough time. So you might have to, might be something that you take with you as homework, but it's fun. And then once you know how much you need, then that gives you something then to go up into your imagination when you're visualizing and say, yes, cannot wait for my housekeeper to come, or my personal chef to make me my sushi tonight, right? So you are telling the universe, yep, I'm putting in my Amazon Prime, my Universe Prime order about what I desire. So does that make sense on what we're going to do right now? Okay, so take a little bit of time, create your luxuries, total them up. We'll do that right now. Okay, so you have tallied up, and you have now been able to, you have a list, and you're clear, and you can say, okay, universe, this is what I desire. Maybe it's an extra 100,000 a month, or maybe it's an extra 100,000 a year, but you have now told the universe, here's what I'm looking for. So now this is the embodiment piece. How do I need to show up to call that version of me into my current reality? So how does this wealthiest version of me show up? How do they walk? How do they talk? How do they sit? How do they spend? How do they think? How do they react when a bill comes? How do they react when they see their dream car drive by, right? How do they dress? So be thinking about that. So at your extra X amount of money, how are you different? And then I want you to be that version today. So what is one small action that you can take today to embody that wealthiest version of you? Maybe you're going to book a trip. Maybe you're going to, maybe that's too big, right? Maybe you're going to buy fresh flowers. You're going to get takeout. You're going to, maybe purchase something very small, or maybe not even purchase. Maybe you're even going to go online and create put some stuff in your cart of, when I have this, this is my list. I cannot wait to buy this next, right? So how does that wealthiest version of you, what does that person do. How do they act? How do they show up? And then do something today that embodies that, right? It could be as simple as putting on earrings. I'll tell you, I started wearing earrings. I think about 4 people said something. It was like, within the day. So little things, right? One of the people on this call being one of them. One of the things is that it doesn't have to be big, right? But it changes how you feel and how you show up. Okay, so I want to talk about the loop of reality. I heard this and I love it. Okay, so what happens is we desire something. So we just made our list of desires. I just told the universe, okay, I want this, 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 and this. Oh, and now I'm so excited. I'm hopeful, right? I cannot wait. So then the next thing that I do is I look around and I survey my 3D reality. I check my bank account. Crap, it's going down. I don't have enough. Nothing's happening. In fact, I have more bills than I ever have. So you start to doubt. And then you say, this stuff doesn't work. It never works. It works for everybody else but me. Show's cuckoo. And then you're disappointed and you're in that loop of reality. So if you remember, I talked about my 5 pillars. So I have the ACE framework, which is awareness, clarity, and embodiment. But I also try to live by 5 daily pillars, which is having fun and finding the joy. It is, let's see if I can recall them right now. But one of the big ones is ignoring reality. Okay. So what that means is, and I slightly changed that to say transcending reality. So what I see in front of me is old news. You remember this. This is old manifestation. So what I see in front of me are old thoughts. So it takes a little bit of time when you plant seeds of a new thought, when you plant seeds of wealth mindset, the seeds are, taking root underneath the surface before you see anything, before you see the bloom. So you have to remember that there might be a little bit of time, and that's where transcending or ignoring your reality comes in. Because if you react to what you see in front of you, then you are going to continue to create more of what you have. So if that means that you do not check your bank account, do not get on that scale if it's, weight release that you're desiring, you have to take care of yourself, knowing that, hey, if I do this, I'm going to have a reaction and it's going to send me back, right? It's going to send me down in disappointment. I'm going to be back in this loop. Now, maybe you have to, right? Maybe you have to do these things, right? We have bills, we have to see what we can pay, etc. I want you to then be very aware when you do have to survey your 3D reality about what your reactions are. And that is your opportunity, your awareness to say, no, I'm not doing that anymore. That's the old version of me, right? The new version is a millionaire or is, insert, the wealthiest version of me. And she doesn't do that. She doesn't think that way anymore. I'm grateful when I have a bill because I was so thankful that I have a cell phone, right? I'm paying my cell phone bill every month. It's annoying to pay, but I'm so grateful that I have a way to connect with everybody. So thankful that I have internet. I'm so thankful that I have a computer, a car, a house, a roof over my head, blankets, whatever that is. So I love this loop of reality. So the only way to get out of this loop of reality is to remember that when you live up here in your imagination, then what you see in the 3D world will have to come up here. It's by law. It will have to change. It will have to shift and meet you at your new reality, meet you at your new vibration. So you have to stay the course, even when things don't look like they're working. Okay. So I want to test this. What I said is a small manifestation test. There is no big or small. It's just we assign it value. And I say small because sometimes when we say, oh, it's only that, it's easy to manifest, right? I'm sure you've all been walking around the street and you found a penny, a nickel, a quarter even. That's a big deal. Those are small in our mind, right? So I don't want you to start manifesting $1 million today, but what I want you to do is to manifest something small in your mind. So maybe it's that you're going to manifest a cup of coffee. You're going to manifest somebody bringing you dinner. I don't know. Maybe it's going to an extra $10. I want you to make it so small that you don't assign much value to it, right? You're not tied to the outcome. It doesn't change your life. You're just testing to say, hey, does this stuff work? Can I actually do this? So what I want you to do is once you decide what your small thing is, one example is I one day I wanted to manifest sushi. I love sushi and I don't eat it that often now that I'm not traveling for work. And I wanted sushi and I hadn't even mentioned it to anybody, but sure enough, I put out in the universe, I'd love sushi and just let it go. And that afternoon, I got a text message from my husband, and this does not happen, mind you. This is like never happens. And he said, "Hey, I have to go someplace, da da da. I'm at the grocery store. Can I grab sushi for you?" And I was like, "Of course you can." Right. And so it was like, oh, yes. I put it out there and I wasn't attached. That's the other thing, right? Is, we have to put out our request, but we can't be so desperate and attached to it that it repels. So I want you to think about what it is that you want. I want you to ask the universe, okay, universe, I'd love a, cup of coffee. I want you to visualize, just take a moment, 10 seconds, visualize what it will feel like to have that cup of coffee. And the feeling is key, right? When you're visualizing. So is it the smell, the taste? Then I want you to just set it and forget it. Okay. You're not looking around, somebody bringing me coffee. I'm not seeing if my coworkers are heading to Starbucks. Oh, no, you're not looking for it. You just set it, set the intention and forget it. I love this. This is usually when my small manifestations come. It's like, I just set it and forget it. I'm like, oh, I forgot that I wanted that, right? A couple days later, it might show up. So do this, test this. And then on the integration page, I want you to report back to me. So our takeaway for today is I want you to embody the wealthiest version of you. Okay. The wealthiest version that you created today on your piece of paper needs X amount of money. How does that version of you show up? When you have that extra money, what's different about you? And I want you to start acting like that person today. I want you to do your small manifestation test, and then I want you to report your wins because they will happen. Another fun one, I remember I said, I'd love some perfume. Like, I don't, really have perfume. And I was like, I'm out of the one bottle. And I was like, I'd love some perfume. I set it and forget it. And sure enough, I get a care package in the mail from a friend out of nowhere that had all these samples of perfumes. And she said, I don't want these anymore. I thought you, or, I never use these. I thought of you. Like, of course. So these fun things happen all the time. You just have to ask and then, sit back and let the universe do the work. But you have to ask. You have to ask for it, right? And you have to believe that it's possible. So I hope that you had couple aha moments today. There's one or two things you can work on, and please, I'm excited for you and I want you to share your wins. So thanks for taking the time, you guys. Congratulations. And let's go master our money mindset. Sound good?
Yes.
It does.
I love it. Okay, let me